Please, I would like to invite
Yeah,
Mr.
but meanwhile, can you share me or give me access to share my, or if it's not too early, but you can just go ahead with the citation then.
Thank you, sir. We have made you a host. Can you try to share
Okay,
your
fine.
screen before we proceed?
Okay.
You have the full rights to do that.
All right, thank you. Shit.
Your screen is coming up now. Yes, we can see your screen now. Thank you,
All
Paul.
right, all right.
All right. I would like to invite to the microphone to take the citation of the guest lecturer, Mr. Akinji Sola from the Department of Mathematical and Computing Science.
Citation of Professor Emoyibo Faye, O Justice, FNCS, MCPN, MI, EEE, Professor of Computer Science and Fellow of the Nigeria Computer Society. Emoyibo Faye, O Justice, is a Professor of Computer Science and Pioneer Dean of the Faculty of Computing and Informatics, Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso, and current director of the Lautech Software Engineering Institute. He is a fellow of the Nigeria Computer Society. His research interest is in the application of mobile computing, wireless communication, computational intelligence and optimization, data science and software engineering to e-health and telemedicine applications for quality healthcare service delivery in developing country context. He holds a diploma in Health Information Systems Management from the Galilee Institute of Management, Israel. He received his PhD in 2004 from the Federal University of Technology, Minna, with specialization in computational intelligence, computational optimization, neural computing. He had his postdoctoral research fellowship at the Huawei Telecom Center of Excellence for Mobile E-Services, Department of Computer Science, University of Zululand, Republic of South Africa in 2006. He is a member of the Society of Telemedicine and E-Health in Nigeria, where he also served as the second vice president of the society between 2012 and 2015. He is also a member of the Computer Professional Registration Council of Nigeria. He is a member of the IEEE Computational Intelligence Society. He joined the service of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso in September 1998 as a graduate assistant. He was the acting head of Computer Science and Engineering Department in 2012 and became the substantive head of the same department between 2013 and 2015 upon becoming a professor. In 2012, he served in the capacity of the acting director of Lautech ICT Center. He was the deputy dean of the Faculty of Engineering and Technology between 2009 and 2012. Since 2006 to date, he has been actively conducting research and teaching the application of mobile computing and wireless communication to quality healthcare service provisioning and delivery, medical informatics, e-health and telemedicine, soft computing, and artificial intelligence, a research area where he has supervised and produced several postgraduate students at the doctoral 15 and master's 20 level. He has over 95 published articles in both reputable journals and peer-reviewed conference proceedings, locally and internationally. He has attended and presented papers at several international conferences and workshops in Africa, Europe, Israel, Japan, and the United States of America. Since 2010, he has been a regular visiting researcher to the Asoplasna Institute, Potsdam, Germany, where he has been involved in collaborative research projects on e-health and telemedicine for Africa. He is the head of the e-health and telemedicine mobile and e-computing research group and organizer conference chair of the International Conference on Mobile E-Services, the conference which has held 10 successful annual editions. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby present to you the guest speaker of today's faculty seminar, the person of Professor Emoyibo Fahi O. Justice.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, the Vice Chancellor, the Dean of the Faculty, Head of Departments, academic staffs here present. I just want to show my face briefly before I turn off the camera so that you know you are not talking to a robot. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be invited to speak at the Thomas Adewumi University. I want to thank the Vice Chancellor, Professor Francisco Oladipo, for approving that I speak to staff and students of your university. Well, I don't know the audience I'm speaking to. I want to believe it's both staff and students. Yeah, so thank you very much once again for having me. I was thinking I was going to be speaking essentially to students and a few staff. So I made my slides to be very, very simplistic. And I was thinking I would be speaking for close to like an hour, 20 minutes thereabout. But in any case, I think last night or early this morning, I got the message from the dean that I'll be speaking for 45 minutes. So when it's 45 minutes, if you want to stop me, just stop me. Thank you very much. So I will start my presentation right away. Okay, you have asked me to speak on artificial intelligence in precision medicine and the future of bioinformatics in disease prediction. This is my presentation outline. Okay, briefly, I'll give a preamble, then I will talk about digital transformation, talk about digital health. Of course, we know that precision medicine, I hope you can hear me.
Sorry, Prof, can you hear me, Prof?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
So, Prof, if your internet will not be disrupted, you can put up the video because we are recording. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, put up the video.
Put on the video, on, not
Oh, I should put on the video.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I discover I'm running out of bandwidth, then I'll put it off.
Perfect.
All right. Okay, so my presentation outline, like I said, I'll talk about digital transformation. Then I'll talk about digital health because precision medicine cannot exist in a vacuum. It exists within the confines of digital health. Then I will talk about the place of AI in health. Then I will talk about precision medicine. And in precision medicine, I will specifically be talking about precision oncology, how genomics, that's DNA, sequencing of DNA data can be used in the detection and prevention and cure of cancer. Then I will talk a little bit about DNA sequencing. If I have the time, I'll talk about big data in health and big data analytics. Then introduce us to bioinformatics, and then I will conclude. Okay, so I begin with my preamble. Yeah, artificial intelligence. Of course, we all know and we all agree with me that artificial intelligence have come to become the new disruptive technology of this era. And virtually on a daily basis today, in those days when we used to be in school, artificial intelligence was taught as if it were a theoretical course. We never saw the application of AI, all around us. But today, on a daily basis, we see and use artificial intelligence. For instance, on our smart devices, in our systems, in pattern recognition, voice recognition, in intrusion detection, fraud detection, in health, and many other areas. AI has come to stay with us, and it has become the technology of the day. In fact, we all know that before you say one or two things today, our young generation, Gen Z, will just be talking about AI and talking about chat GPT. The AI is just all around us today. So we cannot deny the fact that AI is now the new disruptive technology for this generation, and AI is doing wonders. So today we'll be seeing how AI can be applied to health in what we call precision medicine. What is a disruptive technology? A disruptive technology is an innovation that significantly alters the way customers, industries, and people operate. And today, AI is one of the most significant technology that is disrupting the way, things are happening today in the world, and is bringing a lot of innovation into the industry, academia, research, and all aspects of our life. Of course, as we all know, we are currently in the so-called fourth industrial revolution, and moving gradually towards the fifth industrial revolution. And we know that the major technologies that drive the fourth industrial revolution, that will also still drive the fifth industrial revolution, include but not limited to robotics, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, machine learning, 3D printing, big data, and Internet of Things. Yeah, so when we come to the application of AI in health, we can confidently say, therefore, that the future of healthcare is artificial intelligence and big data analytics, because the role that AI and big data analytics is playing in the healthcare today is very, very enormous. The digital transformation. Of course, the digital transformation is here with us, is present, and is transforming and changing the way things are happening everywhere. And we are witnessing the surge of all kinds of technology, ranging from AI, blockchain, cloud computing, quantum computing, and the rest of it. And this is bringing about a paradigm shift in the way things are being done today in the industry, in the health industry, in every aspect of human endeavor. Particularly in the health industry, there is now a paradigm shift from the manual health kind of system of health, what we call health 1.0, to what we now call health 4.0, which is now bringing about an innovation-driven technomedical service delivery paradigm. Now, today, things that were thought impossible in the health domain is now very, very possible with the advent of the digital transformation. And this is now making the possibility of doctor-patient ubiquitous healthcare service delivery paradigm. And then today we have, of course, as we all know, people and machine are now globally interconnected. And so it is fast improving the way healthcare is delivering services. Why is this, possible? It is because of the success that artificial intelligence, and particularly machine learning, have been able to achieve today. And what is responsible for the success of AI and machine learning? One, big data, the availability of data. Somebody put it this way: we are living in a data-generated generation. The volume of data that is available in this generation, somebody said in the last 5 years, surpassed the data that was available in the last 500 years. So because of the availability of data, of course, AI is driven by data, the availability of data. So with big data, cloud applications, Internet of Things, social medias, and so on and so forth, this is making AI to thrive and to be very, very successful in this current era. Not only that, the significant improvement in hardware. Of course, over time, our computers have, gained a lot of, improvements in terms of multi-core, in terms of GPU, and so on and so forth. And not only that, another thing that is driving the success of AI and machine language is the real-time big data analysis that is now possible using technologies like in-memory data management. In those days, doing real-time data analysis requires that your data is stored in your database, and then you pull the data from the database. But you see, the speed at which our processors are performing now far outperforms the speed at which data is being pulled from the database. But because of improvement in computer memory and availability of large size memory, data can now be kept in the memory. There's this technology now called in-memory data management. This allows for real-time big data analysis. Of course, cloud computing is also making available unlimited access to processing power anytime, anywhere. And then at the advent of algorithms, like deep learning algorithms that makes AI and machine learning to do fantastically well. Now, all this power of AI brought into health is also now doing wonders in the health sector. One of those areas is what we are looking at today, the domain of personalized health and precision health. Later on, I'll be talking to us on the current health paradigm, the 5 Ps of health. I'll talk about that shortly. Now, I'd like to talk to us about digital health. Of course, like I said, the digital transformation, is having effect and impact on every aspect of, the health industry, changing things. The old order in health is now being translated into a new normal. And the new normal in health is digital health, which is severally referred to as either e-health, digital health, telemedicine, telehealth, and so on and so forth. Now, healthcare service delivery has moved from a scenario where a patient must go to the hospital, go to the record office, pick a card before seeing a doctor. Everything is now done digitally. And that's what we refer to as digital health. So a lot of trending digital health technologies are now available. Unfortunately, in this part of the world, particularly in Nigeria, we are still lagging behind. But I must say that the Society of Telemedicine and E-Health in Nigeria, other bodies are working tremendously hard to see that the concept of e-health or digital health is adopted and put in use in Nigeria. Just like we are enjoying the transformation of the digital transformation in the financial and the business sector, in e-commerce, e-banking, and the rest of it. In the convenience of your home, you can do any kind of transaction involving any amount. The same thing is expected to happen in the health domain when we fully apply digital technology in healthcare service delivery. For instance, today we have what we call digital diagnostics, we have digital therapeutics, telemedicine, teleconsultation, where patient and doctor can do a teleconsultation over a distance, and the doctor, after the patient consulting with the doctor can do an electronic prescription. The electronic prescription can be sent to an e-pharmacy, an electronic pharmacy, and the electronic pharmacy can deliver the medication of the patient anywhere, anytime. So teleconsultation, telecardiology, digital robotics, digital anatomy, digital clinical trials, teleoncology, teledermatology. These are, various digital technologies, digital health technologies that are available today. I've been working in this area of e-health and telemedicine since 2006, and we have done a lot, and we have a lot of results and solutions that we have been able to showcase in conferences and journal publications, and in many other aspects of the application of IT to health. In recent times, artificial intelligence is now being utilized in healthcare service delivery in many areas, leading to newer and more sophisticated solutions in healthcare. So I will move on from this and then look at the application of artificial intelligence in health or healthcare. Of course, like I said, the application of AI in healthcare application is so numerous. For instance, in drug discovery, in diagnosis accuracy, in robotic surgery, in clinical trials. They are listed here as some of the areas where AI is now being applied in healthcare service delivery. For instance, today we have AI assisted, AI controlled robots that are now involved in performing surgery on humans, guided by experts. We also have the area of 3D printing. Of course, it's interesting to note today that there are now 3D printers that can be used to print human organ. For instance, HP, the popular HP, we know Hewlett Packard, have developed an HP printer that can be used to print human organs. In drug error reduction and healthcare monitoring, and many other areas where artificial intelligence have been applied in healthcare service delivery. Now, I'm giving all this background for us to be able to bring in precision medicine. Like I said earlier on, precision medicine does not exist in a vacuum. It exists, within the confines of digital health and in the confines of artificial intelligence in healthcare service delivery. So now I want to present some few examples of AI in healthcare and lifestyle. Some of these applications are things that some of us are familiar with, even in our smartphones. For some of us using phones like Samsung and the iPhones, there are some of these applications that some of us have been able to use for early detection and prevention of some diseases. There are some applications that are AI controlled, used for symptom checkers. Then we have blood sugar trackers, and then irregular heart rate, notification, and so on and so forth. Today, there's AI-driven voice analysis systems that helps to screen and detect people having Parkinson disease, and so on and so forth. Okay, of course, in machine learning and in artificial neural network, these networks have been used severally, in pattern recognition, in disease detection, in having data, for instance, in different type of diseases. For instance, in a recent research that was conducted in Stanford University, they attempted to, detect pneumonia and 17 other chest-related diseases. A research was conducted at Stanford University by the medical school in conjunction with the radiology department and the computer science department. And they were able to subject a total of 100,000 chest X-ray to a 121 layer convolutional neural network. And the result was fantastic. And it has been said, you can check up on the internet. That research is called XNet, chestnut. Yeah. The result of that research shows that convolutional neural network could even detect pneumonia and the 17 other chest-related diseases even better and faster than the medical practitioner. So using artificial neural networks, deep neural networks, and the rest of it, having medical data, either genomic data or any other kind of health-related data, which can be images or any other kind of data. Then deep learning neural networks can be trained to detect risk of having a disease or risk of getting a disease, or localization of diseases, or prediction of, best treatment for certain diseases. Okay, so now I begin to approach precision medicine, which is actually what you have asked me to speak on. Precision medicine is within the confines of the new paradigm of health today, referred to as the 5P medicine. The 5P medicine is a medical approach that takes care of what we call personalized medicine, participative medicine, preventive medicine, predictive medicine, and precision medicine. And today we are looking at precision medicine, though I will also talk a little bit about personalized medicine. Precision medicine is in the domain of Health 4.0. Health 4.0 is a health paradigm that applies Industry 4.0 technologies, that is, technologies within the fourth industrial revolution confines, such as big data analytics, AI, Internet of Things, and cloud computing to healthcare. Healthcare 4.0 is a data-driven approach that focuses on personalizing patient care and using technology to prevent diseases. So when we talk about the 5P medicine, what is this all about? One, precision. Precision. When we talk about precision, precision have to do with, it's a state of being exact. When we talk about precision, we are talking of exactness. We want to specifically, to be able to treat a patient exactly based on what that person is and what the problem actually is. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that the way we are being treated today in most of our healthcare facilities, everybody is grouped into a cohort. When you present symptoms that looks like symptoms of some other patient, automatically you are given similar medication that takes care of the symptom of people within that cohort. But genetically, we are not all exactly the same. So when we talk about precision medicine, it focuses on drugs most likely to benefit the patient, sparing him or her the cost and potential harmful side effects from drugs that are unlikely to be beneficial. So there's no point giving somebody or doing a trial and error with somebody because he presented some similar symptom that looks like the symptom of some other patient. Treat him specifically. That's precision medicine. Personalized medicine. Adopting a patient-specific approach for diagnosis, therapy, and monitoring. Now, predictive medicine. Analyzing and calculating the risk that a person will develop a disease to enable to treat them earlier before complication. We are able to predict before its occurrence. And then preventive, helping to make decisions that prevents the appearance of diseases. Then participatory. Now, I'll leave out participatory because we are particularly interested in personalized medicine and precision medicine. Now, like I've earlier explained, in today's medicine, many complex diseases such as cancer and some other chronic diseases are treated with standard therapy plan. And this is not correct because it will not always bring the most optimal result. This will usually not work in the same way for everybody due to certain variation in patient's gene. So, like I said, today, the way people are being treated, once you present the symptom of a particular sickness, you are given the normal medication that every other person takes. And that is not, very, very effective. The concept of personalized medicine says that, to treat a patient based on his or her own condition and the cause of the disease, not because of the symptom the person presents. So when we now talk about the concept of precision medicine is defined as an emerging approach for disease treatment and prevention that takes into account individual variability in gene, environment, and lifestyle for each person. Now, this is the peak of healthcare service delivery today, and it is becoming commonplace today. Years before now, it was impossible to be able to treat individuals based on their gene makeup, their environment, and their lifestyle, because it was not possible to sequence the whole human genome. But in 2015, specifically January 30th, 2015, the former president of the United States, President Barack Obama, initiated the precision medicine initiation by, initiating a $3 billion US project on the Human Genome Project. Now, I will talk to you later on about the Human Genome Project and the sequencing of DNA. I also give you, the timeline of what has happened over the years since the discovery of the human cell. Of course, we know that the human cell was discovered between 1800 to 1900 by Robert Koch. But since then, the human DNA have not been able to be sequenced. But in recent time, with development in research and in AI, today it is now possible to be able to sequence the whole human genome. And because it's now possible to be able to sequence the whole human genome, then it is now possible to be able to identify specific genetic diseases that are peculiar to individual, and where and how and at what point in the gene and in the DNA that the problem happened, and then it can then be corrected. And so people can now benefit from what we now refer to as precision medicine. Now, apart from the launching of this Human Genome Project established by President Barack Obama, other projects were also initiated. For instance, a $100 million research initiative was also established on a research referred to as brain research through advancing innovative neurotechnology. Now, this research are to find problem for sicknesses that we term are having no solution, or we call them sicknesses that are of extreme kind of value. For instance, this project was to take care of problems like amnesia, epilepsy, brain trauma and injuries in the brain, and so on and so forth. So thanks to precision medicine that now provides a way to be able to handle all that. Quickly, let me talk about the human genome discovery, the discovery of the Human Genome Project. The discovery began first and foremost at the Alta Summit of 1984, where the DNA was first made available on the internet. The Global Human Genome Project was first mentioned. But some 6 years later, in 1990, the Human Genome Project was initiated in the United States with a runtime of 15 years, like I said, with a $3 billion US funding. But by the year 2000, the rough draft of the human genome was announced. By 2003, a complete human genome was sequenced. And by 2006, the sequence of the last and the longest chromosome was published. And by 2015, this made it possible to have the possibility of initiating the precision medicine initiative. Now, what is this human genome we are talking about? Of course, for us to be able to treat humans using precision medicine technology, like I said earlier on, we must understand the DNA. We must understand, DNA sequencing. What is sequencing? Sequencing can be defined as figuring out the order of the nucleotides in an organism DNA. Sequencing involves determining the precise order of the 4 chemical building blocks or bases that makes up a DNA. Now, I will talk about what, maybe I try to simplify that. Let me move on a little. I will come back here. Let me just move on a little and let me talk about, okay, fine. Now let's look at the human cell. The human cell, of course, that's where we have the chromosomes, and then eventually within the chromosomes, we have the gene, and then we have the DNAs. The cells are the basic building block of all living organisms, and the blueprint of life is embedded in the DNA. As we all know, the human body is composed of trillions of cells. Now, there is a lot of computation, a lot of activities that goes on within the human cell. Now, this computation, which later I will refer to as molecular computing or computational biology. Now, these activities goes on within the human cell. There's, duplication of the cells divide and all that. But you see, in the process of all these activities happening, if anything goes wrong within the cells, then it can possibly result to certain, disease. The information in the DNA within our cells are stored as code. And this code is made up of 4 chemical bases called adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. Now, every human has about 3 billion, DNA, bases, which is in a combination of G, T, C, A, and so on and so forth. Now, understanding the changes in the gene, which we call mutation, can aid in finding the cause of diseases, particularly genetic diseases, and those can also support, treatment decision. So that is where precision medicine stands. So I go back to where I skipped forward so that we can understand what we are talking about when we are talking about DNA sequencing. So the essence of DNA sequencing is to extract the analog DNA, samples and convert that. The digital computers can now do some manipulation on them and be able to detect if there's any kind of error in any point of the human system. Now, as a result of the activities of the launching of the precision medicine, a lot of machine, which we call sequencing machine, have been developed. For instance, we have one of the first generation sequencing machine, the ABI, called the Sanger sequencing machine, developed in 2002. Now, these machines, we have a variety of this machine that can be used for sequencing the DNA. The Sanger sequencing machine, for instance, has an accuracy of greater than 99.9% with a throughput of 100 kilobytes per run. Though when the Sanger machine is operating, it runs for about 3 hours and it's able to read about 0.1 to 1 kilobytes per pair of DNA strand. The issue with this actually is time intensive. Now we have many other machines, sequencing machine that were developed. For instance, we have the second generation sequencing machine, and then we have the Roche 454 sequencing machine. These are their performances and their limitations. Now we also have the Illumina sequencing machine, which later became one of the very popular sequencing machine that is being used today. Now we also have the Oxford Nanoprobe, which is a very portable and mobile sequencing machine. Now all these machines are being used for one kind of DNA testing or the other. This was a practical experience I had, looking at a sequencing machine at a particular laboratory sometimes ago in Germany. Now, why do we sequence the human genome? Why do we have to sequence the human genome? One, for us to understand mutation. Mutation is very, very important in disease detection. Now, when we look at the changes that happen within the genes, then you are able to detect if there is any form of mutant or anything that will cause a sickness or problem within a gene. What other reason? Why do we, sequence the gene? To help us identify what we call disease markers. Disease markers. Now, the disease markers help us to be able to associate, any genetic, mutation to a particular disease. Why do we sequence the gene or the human genome? To take personalized treatment decision. Now, like I've said earlier in my introduction, now let's look at this picture that is shown on the screen. For instance, a patient may have a particular problem and goes to the hospital. Now, normally what they do, okay, everybody, because you present the symptom, they just give you this medication and give you the same dose. Everybody takes the same dose. And that shouldn't be. From our genetic makeup, it may be that somebody will respond to one dose of that medication. Another person may respond to just a lower dose, maybe half a dose. Another person may respond to double higher dose. So you give him 2 doses. And there's somebody that may not even respond at all to that medication that you are giving to that individual. So it is very, very important to sequence the human genome, and that will help in decision-making, in treatment decision-making on how to treat individuals presenting particular symptoms. Why do we need to sequence the human genome? Now, it has been shown that, from percentage of the patient population for which a particular drug in a class is ineffective, there are certain drugs that are ineffective for certain category of people. So sequencing the human genome will enable us to be able to see, the percentage of people in a particular group for which a particular drug is effective or ineffective. Okay, so I brought us here before, so I can continue from here. Okay, like I've said about the cells being the building block of the human system, and I've also mentioned the components of the DNA. So I want to continue from there. Now let's understand this DNA. The DNA bases pairs up with each other. A pairs with T, while C pairs with G to form what we call a base pair. Now, each base pair is also attached to a sugar molecule and a phosphate molecule. I will show us that forms the double helix. For those of us that have some understanding of biology. If you look at the structure of the DNA, you discover that it forms a double helix structure. So it has the base pair, it has a sugar molecule and then a phosphorate molecule. So that's what makes up our DNA and then RNA. Of course, why are we looking at the human cell? Like I said, that's the basis of life. That's the blueprint of life. And like I said before, our DNA works like the normal digital computer. There is similarity between the digital computer. And so when a lot of processes are going on, of course, as computer science students, you know that one of the problems we have in computer science is what we call bugs and debugging. I'll come back to that. Yeah, this is it. We have problems of bugs and debugging. Now, when you write a computer program and if there is any bug in it, your program is not likely to execute. Even if the program executes and there's an error, the execution may not be a correct result. Of course, like we all know, in computer science, we have different types of error: syntax error, semantic error, logical error, compile time error, runtime error, resource error, interfacing error, and so on and so forth. These are different types of error. In the same way, in the DNA, if there is any kind of bug which results to an error in the arrangement of the bases, then there will be a cell malfunction. And it is some of this cell malfunction that results into some of these chronic diseases, for instance, like cancer. Cancer is an abnormal growth of the cell, which may later become either benign or malignant. So when there is any kind of error in the compilation or in the duplication of the cell, then it leads to problems like that. And of course, like I was saying before, that the human cell is seen to be like a computer. Of course, we can compare some components of the computer to the human cell. For instance, if you look at the organelles of the cell, one of the major organelles of the cell is the ribosome. The ribosome is seen as a compiler because it is the ribosome that converts protein. It is responsible for converting of protein and so on and so forth. So it converts from one source code into object code. It converts from one thing to the other. Now we have every other component of the human cell that looks exactly like some of the components of the computer. So like I said, this is the structure of the DNA and the RNA. Okay, so these are the components within the DNA and the RNA. Now, it is these components within the DNA and RNAs that we are particularly interested in, because this is what forms the biological data set which we manipulate with our computers and implementing artificial intelligence algorithm to be able to detect diseases and possibly identify how to prevent the disease and how to also help or cure some of this genetic problem. And that is what will now lead me to talk a little bit about biological data set. So that will lead me into bioinformatics. Hello, I hope you are still hearing me. Hello?
Yes, Prof, we hear you.
All right, thank you very much. Also referred to as computational biology, and some calls it bioinformatics. Molecular computing can be defined as computation going on in life or living systems using molecules as data or processing units. Now, if we look at the human cells that produces this biological data, for instance, like I said, look at your cell like a computer. I've mentioned that the ribosome is like the compiler. We have the lysosomes, we have the endoplasmic reticulum that provides the network and the transport layer. For instance, like, in the computer, we have the, the transport bus and network and all that. In fact, I've done some work that actually compares the human cell with a digital computer. But now let's come to bioinformatics. Bioinformatics, we can break that word into three. Bio plus info plus matics gives us bioinformatics. Bio means biology. Info, information. Biology.
Hello, Prof. We lost your sound for a moment. Is that from your hand, sir?
I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So when we talk about bioinformatics, it is the use of computational techniques to analyze biological problem or making sense of biological data using computational and statistical tools. Bioinformatics is at the intersection of computer science, biology, and statistics. From the Venn diagram that you can see, on the right-hand side of my screen. There you see very clearly the intersection of statistics and biology is biostatistics. The intersection of computer science and biology is computational biology. And then the intersection of statistics and computer science is data science. Now, at the very middle, where you have the intersection of these three disciplines, computer science, statistics, and biology, that's where we find bioinformatics, making sense out of biological data using computational and statistical tools. Now, in this case of computational tools, we are looking at artificial intelligence. Okay, why do we do bioinformatics? Because bioinformatics can be used to answer very important type of questions that can help us to solve very important problems, such as, one, what is the role of a gene? Two, can a particular gene cause a specific disease? Three, how do a chemical or drug affect a cell? Four, how do genetic variants among people result in different disease susceptibility? And five, can we design a drug to treat a particular disease? These are some of the questions or problems that bioinformatics can help us, to solve. And that is why it is very, very important. But at what point do we really have these problems in the cell? And that's
Prof, we lost you again.
Hello?
Hello, Prof. Yes, we lost you for about 45 seconds again.
Oh my God. Sorry. Technology
Apologies,
is
sir.
failing me. It may be fluctuation in the network.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, very well, sir.
Okay, do I repeat the former thing I just said?
Yes, just about when you were about rounding off the last slide.
Okay.
Yes.
I just said that why is it important to how do a chemical or drug affect a cell, the human cell? Then four, how do genetic variants among people result in different disease susceptibility? And then five, I said, can we design actually come in the cell that result to the problems that result to genetic diseases. It is in the
Hello, Prof. You may turn off the video now. I guess there's a bandwidth drop around you, sir. You may turn off the video so that it will help us better. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, sir.
Okay, my video is off. Now, as we have been taught in biology from secondary school and upwards, we are told that our cells are constantly replicating. There's this division that is going on in the cell, which we refer to as mitosis, meiosis. The cell continue to replicate, continue to, divide into and continue to reproduce itself. Now, in that process of DNA, now within the cell, we have, like we said before, we have the gene, we have the chromosomes, and then we have the DNA. In the process of DNA
Hello, Prof. It appears the network is okay. Let's wait patiently so that you will join us shortly. I believe it has been an amazing session. I've been sitting down, listening to a professor of computer science teaching about chemistry explicitly. It's really, really fantastic. He's breaking down bioinformatics, teaching biology, biochemistry in a very fascinating way. In fact, dashing into my field, drug discovery. It's actually very, very amazing. We can't wait to have Prof back. So let's wait patiently as we get him back. I believe we have our question. I have my questions already. I believe we have our questions. He has, okay. Yes. Prof, we are okay.
Sorry, my network went off briefly.
It's no problem, sir. You can continue, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So I was talking about the cells, the DNA replication process. Now, there are three activities that happen within that. One, there's initiation, there's elongation, and then there is termination. Now, during the elongation process, all these activities happen. The topomerase, there's something in that DNA referred to as the topomerase. It will unwind and overwind the DNA. Then the helicarza will unzip the DNA, at specific origin and so on and so forth. Then in the elongation process, the DNA, which and now within the polymerase, we extend the DNA using a template strand and so on and so forth. But essentially, at the termination point, meiosis results into two daughter cells carrying identical DNA. Now, it is very, very important that the DNA polymerase performs what it calls a proofreading to be certain that the two daughter cell DNA strands are perfectly replicated. If there's any problem in this replication, now that can form what we call a mutation, which eventually can result to abnormal growth of the cell, which can result to a tumor. So in precision oncology and cancer genomics, now when we talk about oncology, oncology is a study, the prevention and treatment of cancer or malignant tumor. Of course, cancer is the name given to a group of related diseases that involves an uncontrolled growth, abnormal cell multiplication, and spreading into surrounding tissue. Now, like I've said, you see, when the DNA is being replicated, if there's any error resulting in the replication of the DNA, this can result to an uncontrolled growth or an abnormal cell multiplication. And this is what we refer to as tumor or cancer when it becomes malignant. Cancer is a genetic disease. That is, it is caused by changes in the DNA that controls the way the cell function, especially how they grow and divide. So this is very, very important. Of course, cancer is one of the diseases, chronic disease in the world today that is very, very dreaded. In time past, cancer seemed to have no cure, even though a lot of chemotherapy, is being done. Yeah, but they are not able to isolate and treat exactly. But with precision medicine today, there's what we call precision oncology. So the DNA responsible for the abnormal growth can be identified using DNA sequencing, and hence, cancer can now be treated, if detected early enough. And of course, that's another application of AI in healthcare, disease detection. Now, once you are able to detect, the disease, any chronic disease early enough, then hopefully treatments can be given. And these changes can be inherited. Of course, sometimes they are inherited, but most arise randomly during a person's lifetime, either as a result of errors that occurs as the cell divides or from exposure to DNA damaging carcinogens. I will talk about some of those things that can damage our cells or damage our DNAs that can cause cancer. So what is the way forward? Is cancer or precision oncology, which is also what we call cancer genomics. Now, all the DNA contained in our cell makes up what we call the genome. The genome is packaged into two sets of chromosomes. One set we obtain from our parent, either of our parents, from our mother, and another set from our father. These chromosomes are composed of 6 billion individual DNA letters. Now, when we talk about 6 billion DNA letters, now here, this is where we need artificial intelligence. The data we are dealing with is so large, 6 billion individual DNA letters for an individual. So when you are dealing with, a large set of individuals, the kind of biological data we'll be obtaining, DNA data that we'll be obtaining will be so large. And this is where, the technologies we're talking about, they all come into play. For instance, big data analytics, cloud computing, AI algorithms, and so on and so forth. So this is where they now come in helping to solve the problem. Let me give us an understanding of what we mean by genomics and the DNA data. Now let's look at English language, for instance. English language has 26 alphabets, A to Z. Now when we are talking about the DNA, the alphabets of the gene are essentially just 4. A, C, G, and T. And just like the letters in a book makes words to tell a story, so do the letters of our genome. Now, the right combination of the alphabet, of the English alphabet, is what gives sense and meaning to books and letters and things we write. In the same way, the letters of the genes, A, C, G, and T, must be properly combined in the right sequence to form, what the body system understands. If the letters are not properly arranged in the right sequence, then they'll become a problem. So what then is genomics? Genomics is the study of the sequence of these letters in our DNA and how each string of letter passes information to help each cell in our body to work properly. In cancer cells, Small changes in the genetic letter can change what a genomic word or sentence means. Okay? So that's what results to the bugs or to the errors that I was talking about earlier. So there are different types of errors, but in the genomic errors, we see how to correct some of these things. Now, causes of some of these errors in the cells. One of the major causes of errors in the
Hello, Prof. We lost your sound, the audio from your hand, sir. Can you please check? Oh, I think let's say network glitch again from his end. Please let's wait patiently. We are going to have him back shortly. Thank you.
muted now. Yeah, I think I will just try to round off because my network seems to be misbehaving now. Okay. All right. So I was saying that
your screen sharing is paused. Hello, Prof. Your screen sharing is paused. You may need to double click your screen to enter. Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So like I was saying that the causes of some of these errors in the DNA include mutation, which I've explained, for instance, when there is a replacement of a particular nucleotide with another nucleotide. For instance, ATA, now T is being replaced with G, so that's a mutation. Then there's also a situation of insertion, where, for instance, AA, we have an insertion of G in between AA. Now, when there is an insertion like that, then it can also cause an error or any kind of bug in the DNA. And there's also what we call a deletion. Of course, these terms are things we are familiar with, for instance, in database management system, deletion, insertion, and the rest of it. Okay, it also looks similar in genomics. Now, deletion, when a particular nucleotide is deleted, for instance, ACTG, you see there that T have been deleted. Now, we also have what we call indel, an insertion or a deletion. Now, where can these errors occur within, the cell? It can occur at the gene level, it can occur at the chromosome level, it can also occur at the genome level. At the gene level, within a specific range on a chromosome. At the chromosome level, the structure of the chromosome is affected. At the genome level, the complete genome is affected. And if any of this occurs, then it totally affects, the makeup of the genome, and that can be, that can result to certain disease. Now, here we want to look at a specific example of precision oncology, of a particular patient. Of course, we have several actors that will be involved in the oncology process. The patient who identify some particular abnormalities or have a family history or a background or whatsoever, and then it goes to the clinician, and the clinicians, will conduct some laboratory tests to establish, if the case exists, and then look for the alternative therapies that can be used, in treating, the patient. Of course, the researchers you know, the bioinformaticians, the, you know, oncologists, and so on and so forth will all be involved in conducting research to see how they can use precision, you know, oncology to help the patient. Now, why do we need all this? To have informed decision making in treating the patient specifically of the problem that the patient have. Now, there is this technology that is now being developed, interdisciplinary tumor board. Now, if you look at, for instance, the way cancer patients are being treated in Nigeria and Africa generally, it takes a very long time because the patient first go to the hospital, and they ask the patient to go to a particular wet lab where biopsies will be made. And in most cases, these labs are not readily available. When the patient gets, the biopsy done, and the sample is taken, they ask him to go, and then they'll do the test. After a long time, he has to go and see maybe one oncologist. Now, at some particular time, because what I'm trying to say here is that treating a patient cancer, a cancer patient, requires the collaboration of different experts. For instance, to treat any cancer patient, you need an organ-specific oncologist, because depending on the part of the body where the cancer is, you need an organ-specific oncologist, you need a genetician, you need a clinician, you need a bioinformatician, you need several people to collaborate. Now, this interdisciplinary tumor board provides, you know, a technology that allows all the expertise or the experts that are needed to collaborate, to work together to take care of a patient, a cancer patient. Now, this interdisciplinary interactive real-time tumor board is a project that is ongoing at the Asoplatna Institute in the, in the telehealth institute where I visit for research. Now, let's look at, you know, this particular case, for instance, of a patient called Jane here, 48 years, a female, who is a non-smoker and living in a smoke-free environment, but diagnosed with a non-small cell lung cancer. How do you explain that? So that tells us, for instance, this individual is not a smoker and is living in an environment that is at least partially smoke-free, but was diagnosed with a non-small cell lung cancer. And the disease marker, I was talking to Ross earlier on about disease markers. Now, these are the disease markers, KRAS, BRAT, and NRAS. These are the disease markers that point to the fact that from the radiological image that this particular individual is having, you know, lung cancer in this area that is marked red in this radiological image. So having such a case, then the next thing is to begin the clinical oncology process. Of course, a number of processes we have to go through. I will skip all this because of time. And then after going through all these processes, for instance, first and foremost is the clinical, you know, investigation, which will involve taking a sample, a biopsy, like I said. Then several decisions are taken. Then the sample is taken to the wet lab. Now the wet lab establishes that there is that case. Then thereafter we start what? The genetic raw data will now be obtained, which will now be converted into digital DNA data. Now, it is the digital DNA data that we deal with in DNA sequencing, okay? So when we obtain the data, then we begin the process of converting the analog raw DNA data into digital, you know, data for analysis. And in doing that, this is the procedure following the Illumina sequencing process. The double DNA strand is split into chunks of 200 to 600 bit pairs length. then an adapter is attached to the DNA chunks, then and so on and so forth. This is the procedure, in the laboratory for going about converting the DNA, the analog DNA data into the digital format. Now, when that has been done, this is the output. Of course, this is a little bit clumsy, except if you are very familiar with it. It's a bit difficult to interpret, but every raw DNA data that is converted into digital format may look like this. Now, there are different output format for sequencing. This is the FASTQ format. We have the FASTA format. There are different formats with which the digital data comes out. But generally, for this particular result, if you look at it, the aspect shaded red, it comes in 4 lines. The first line is the sequence identifier or the description. The second line is the raw sequence. The third line is the strand or direction. And the fourth line is the quality value per sequenced base. Okay, so like I said, there are different file formats for the digital output of the DNA data. We have the FASTA format, we have the FASTQ format, and then we have other tools that also I use, the FastQC and the T-Coffee, and so on and so forth. Now, in doing DNA sequencing, what exactly are you trying to do? We are doing what we call sequence alignment. Sequence alignment. And what is sequence alignment? Sequence alignment is a way of arranging the sequences of the DNA or RNA or the protein to identify regions of similarity that may be a consequence of functional, structural, or evolutionary relationship between the sequences. So what we are trying to do in aligning sequence alignment is to identify where there are issues. What is the alignment all about? Sequence alignment is important for prediction of function, database searching, gene finding, sequence divergence, and sequence assembling. A pairwise alignment consists of a series of paired bases, one base from each sequence. There are 3 major types of pairs that we're looking for, either a match, a mismatch, or there is a gap. Now, this we see in this figure, sequence alignment. Now, it's either we want to find out if it matches. For instance, if we look at this, we see G matching with G. Now, if there is an internal gap, on the first row, you see there is a gap. Then on the lower row, we have a T. So we call that an internal gap. Then we also see another type of sequence alignment. We see a mismatch. For instance, we have an A at the top, and then we have a G below. Then we have what we call external gap. Here, there's nothing at the tail end of that chromosome, and while on the other one, we have something. So the sequence alignment helps us to be able to identify the following: sequence identity, sequence similarity, sequence homology, pairwise alignment, and then multiple sequence alignment, and so on and so forth. I think my 45 minutes is almost gone. I'm just rushing. Do I still have some time? Hello?
Okay, sir. We want you to try to round off now, sir.
Okay, let me try
I
to
know that
round up.
you still have some slides to cover.
Yeah, I have quite some slides, but let me just quickly try to round up. Okay, so after the alignment, have been done. Of course, there are quite a number of algorithms that are used for alignment. For instance, we have the Needleman-Wunsch algorithm that is usually used for, alignment. We also have the Smith-Waterman algorithm that is also used, for alignment of sequence data. Now, after all these have been have been done, then we can also do what we call genotype calling, which usually can be done using the Bayes theorem, as has been shown here. And then at the end of it all, we have been able to transform the raw data into digital data, and we do the analysis. So DNA sequencing is done, transforming of analog DNA data into digital format. Then alignment is done, reconstruction of complete genome with snippets. Then we do variant calling, and then we do what we call data annotation. Data annotation is linking the genetic variant with research findings to be able to ascertain that this is actually the real problem or where the problem is. And that is very, very important. The data annotation is very, very important because that's where you conclude your findings by linking genetic variants with what is available, in research finding. And that also can be done, using some AI, implemented software. For instance, excuse me. Now, look at the results of the initial finding that we did for that particular patient. Now, compared to what is available in research, it is found to have some clinical significance with pathogenic alloy. So that shows that that case that was discovered from the radiological image has clinical significance, and hence, the genes at that particular spot, as has been sequenced, have to be given some attention to be able to isolate what the problem really is. Now, researchers in medical field, clinicians, we understand, this particular image and how to go forward from this point. Okay. Okay, I think I may leave out big data in medicine. It's all part of AI in medicine. I can now go and conclude. So to summarize, generally, precision medicine is where the world is going today because of advancements in AI and research that have made several other technologies, for instance, next generation sequencing machines to be available to be able to help in detecting, treating, and preventing chronic diseases like cancer and many others. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to thank you for inviting me to speak on AI in precision medicine and the future of bioinformatics in disease detection and prevention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. You have elicited great mine of wealth of knowledge in bioinformatics. At a point, I was convinced that you studied biochemistry, but eventually I was also convinced that you are a professor of computer science. Thank you so much for doing justice to this topic. As you have rightly said, this is the future. My newfound love is digital health, and I have an innovation here already, and I'm really happy with what we are using interdisciplinary research to achieve right now, particularly when it comes to disease prevention, treatment, management, and early detection. Very, very important. So I must confess that this is a very beautiful and brilliant presentation today. Once more, we are very grateful for the opportunity to learn from you. I am convinced that if we had a longer time, you would be able to go through the slide, teaching us and explaining to us in real time. Thank you so much, Prof. We want to go to question and answers or interaction now. Please, for those joining us online, this is Thomas Adewumi University, the University of Choice. We are named the Nigeria's leading light in STEM education. And we are proud and happy that you are joining us today. We want to receive questions from you for those that have joined online, while we also receive questions from the physical audience. So kindly, if you have questions, you please drop it in the chat box. We have recorded the session, and with permission of Professor Justice, we shall provide this on our YouTube channel and on our website on the OER. So look forward to getting that. I've seen some comments in the chat box requesting for the recorded session. So we shall make this available on our YouTube channel. So check up our YouTube channel, Thomas Adewumi University on YouTube. Thank you. We want to take questions now. Please, if you have questions online, kindly drop it in the chat box. We would, I can see what, so yes, Bukola Oyeleke, please drop your questions. We shall read it out and Prof would address your questions. So questions from the audience. Let me take students first. Students, participants, members of staff, questions? Thank you. Okay, permit me to start from the front. So I'll take the Dean of Management and Social Sciences. I'll take Dean of, the Director of School of Culinary School and Professional Studies, Dr. Ishola, and then I'll take Mr. Adele, and then I'll take Mr. Joseph. Thank you. So let me start with you, sir. Prof, do we take all the questions together so that you can take them at once, sir?
Anyhow you want it.
Okay, I think it will be better that way. I also have my questions, so I will be the last person. So please, if you have questions, Bukola or Yaleke, kindly drop your questions. Someone wants to say his question. Okay, if you have good internet around you, we may allow you to do that. So we'll take that midway of the live questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Are you on?
Yes, please.
Yes, my question was centered on real time. Now, okay, during the diagnosing of the patient by a doctor, and it happens that the doctor experienced connectivity challenges. That is, we're unable to send the prescription to probably the next doctor real time. What is going to happen if that one happens during the diagnosing a patient? Is this clear enough?
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof. Sorry, on a lighter mode, I am not in this discipline, so I may not use this discipline language. So whatever language I use, please, you can modify it for better understanding. So, but at least okay, I want to put across what is in my mind, and I need to be educated. Yes, it's on this precision medicine and personalized medicine. I want to ask if from your lecture and from what we have heard so far, we are going towards precision medicine now. But I have this concern. I said, what happened to the aspect of the physical presence of the patient, which allows for human relations, psychological guessing, empathy impact between the doctor and the patient, the secrecy of the patient, which is very important, then the opportunity of dig deep questioning of the doctor from the patient, especially as it affects the genealogy, the family history, the geographical environment, and etc., which to me, with my little understanding, helps the doctor to be able to decide and to determine how to treat a patient very well. Thank you very much. I hope it's very clear.
Very clear.
Thank you very much.
Any other question?
Good morning, Prof. My name is Ayodele Peter from the Department of Biological Sciences. Please permit me to ask my question from my take home from your presentation today, which is effects of drugs or the response of individual to drugs is without a doubt a function of the individual genetic makeup. Although alongside other factors, but when it comes to precision medicine, I think genetic makeup is without a doubt. Now, I want to ask if in this precision medicine and the use of nanoparticles, will the precision medicine and coupled with the use of Internet of Things, the IoT, puts the delivery of the nanoparticle, the solubility, site interaction, and cell recognition of the nanoparticle, will the precision medicine also put all this in place, or will information, exact information on what I've just said, be obtained using the IoT? In like manners, my second question is, the biochemists and biological scientists before now until now have been working with animals as their models and cell lines as their model. And to date, most of the information we have on drug discovery, it's actually from this, the report from the animal models and cell line. You know, of course, how tedious it is and how rigorous it is to begin to sequence human genome. Of course, we really can't just put a person and start dissecting before we can sequence the genome. Now, are we saying in this fourth revolution and the upcoming fifth revolution, the use of animal as model or cell line will no longer be relevant? Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have 2 questions more.
Thank you, Prof, for the insightful section. I really learned a lot, sir. We know that major disease causes are from 2 major factors. That's the genetic factors and the environmental factors. And the genetic factors majorly on due to the genetic mutations. Now, if there is we understand the genetic sequencing of a particular disease. So definitely what will actually cause that disease is actually a change in the normal sequence. Now, my question now is, what are the current AI-driven strategies for designing or optimizing gene editing approaches to correct these mutations in clinical settings? I already know that there's CRISPR, there's also gene replacement therapy. But are there any current AI-driven strategies that can actually help to correct these mutations? And my second question, it has been shown that one of the major causes of some diseases now is actually environmental factors. And that is the area of epigenetics, and which is an area that they're actually doing so many studies on presently. Now, my question now is, what potential does AI holds for developing targeted therapies that actually modulate epigenetic changes in complex disease? As we know that epigenetics is when there is actually change in genetic expression. So is there any potential that AI actually holds in actually providing a targeted therapy that will help modulate these changes that could be caused by environmental factors? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. You partially answered my own question. The major challenge we have right now is the issue of data, availability of data. Most of the time, when we develop models, we depend on the data available from Kaggle and other data which do not represent Nigerian data. And the issues that surround that has been the compliance issues. People in hospitals still wants to go along with the 70-year-old files and record of patients that are available there. You mentioned the work of the telecommunication agency in trying to ensure that we build our own data. Really, what is the current the intervention of other societies to ensure that this come up in time? If we bring up all the data that are already available in all the hospitals, and then they are available for models to be developed, I think it's going to contribute a lot to the improvement in telemedicine and it. Thank you, sir. So while you prepare to answer the question, we have 2 questions online. Somebody said, I think these are from law perspective. Somebody said, my question borders on the intersection between law and telemedicine, particularly as it relates to licensing and jurisdiction of physicians in offering cross-border or interstate medicine, which by practice means physicians must be licensed in the state or country that the patient is located. And this has hampered cross-border or interstate telemedicine over the years. How has this been mitigated or resolved in your expansive years of experience to ensure effective telemedicine? Then the last but not the least question, thank you for that insightful seminar. From the seminar, I see that bioinformatics deals with gene editing and sensitive personal data, especially DNA. According to NDPA and GDPR, this brings up some ethical and legal issues. What steps or considerations are in place to protect data and address ethical issues? Thank you so much. Okay, Wada Aliu. Okay, Wada Aliu, can you unmute yourself? Let me allow you to do that. We are really working towards time, so I have asked you to unmute. Can you please unmute yourself now?
Yes, thank you very much, the moderator. Thank you, Prof. I'm Wada Aliu. I'm joining you from Abuja.
Please introduce yourself, sir.
All right. I said I'm Wada Aliu. I join you from Abuja. I'm a member of the National Technical Mirror Committee under the Standards Organization of Nigeria, where I believe Prof is also a member. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. I also want to extend my gratitude to the VC for making this platform, possible. Now, my question is, if you look at and Prof has made it very clearly that AI has come to stay, and we believe that, and we must go towards this very fact. Now, if you look at what the AI is doing in medicine today, you will appreciate it, and it is good.
We lost you, sir.
For the patients, is good for the system. Service provider relates to the service providers. The AI assists them to come up with precise.
Okay, while we are waiting to reconnect with you, Prof. Sir, please can you begin to take answers to the question?
Yes.
All right. Okay, I think he's connected back again.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, in precision medicine, the clinicians are doing wonderfully well, and the AI is assisting them to get the right outcome, which is good for medicine and is good for the patients also. But my concern is on the part of the service providers, the clinicians themselves. Do you think the AI is really assisting or is curtailing their potentials in getting, the real knowledge that they're supposed to get, and using their own intellect, experience, and skills to get these things correctly? That is number one. Number two, on the part of the, the educational sector also, today, the students use AI to write articles, to write theses and other educational materials. And the same AI also give them solution to see that the contents are free from plagiarism. So do you think this is also a good development on the educational sector generally? Thank you very much.
Over to you, Prof. Please provide answers to the questions. Sir.
All right, thank you very much. The questions are so many. I'll just take as many as I can take within the time limit. Okay, let me start with the first question, talking about the issue of connectivity, the challenge of connectivity. Now, it is assumed that these technologies and these practices will work, all things being equal. In places where these things are already being practiced, the infrastructure and all that is needed to make it to work are already made available. For instance, I visit Germany regularly. I'm familiar with the European Union health systems, and I've attended a number of workshops and conferences, in the European Union. Now, in this part of the world, they are not struggling with, for instance, today in Nigeria, even though we have NCC, nobody comes to query the QoS, quality of service we receive. Nobody queries at any point in time when any network service provider is down and there's no service, nobody queries it. So like the last speaker just said, Mr. Amuda Aliu from Abuja, I'm a member of the Society for Telemedicine and eHealth, and I'm also a member of the Technical Committee on Health Informatics of the ISO, that's the International Standard Organization, and we are working alongside with the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Now, there is a framework for telemedicine to work in any environment. One, there are 3 layers. I can share that with us before we finish this meeting. You see, we have the role of the government. The government have a role to play to make policies, to establish policies, and so on and so forth, to provide, enabling environment. We also have, service providers in terms of network service providers and different type of service providers. We have the, the aspect where the medics and all that. We have the technical aspect. So for all this to work, it is taken for granted that, all the necessary layers of, infrastructure have been provided for precision medicine and telemedicine, e-health to be able to get delivered. So for the person asking about the issue of network challenge, for instance, if during the process of taking care of somebody or trying to provide care for somebody and then there is a network failure. Of course, we have in IT, we have what we call delay tolerant network. Now, there should be, backups that takes care of any kind of failure or any kind of delay that is likely to happen within any kind of network. Yeah, but in Africa, and particularly in Nigeria, we are still coming up. We are still developing. We are hoping that before we go full scale telemedicine and e-health, many of these concerns will have been taken care of. But in the developed countries, these are not issues they struggle with. These are not issues except in situations where they have natural disasters, volcanoes, and the rest of that. Notwithstanding, they have, like I said, delay tolerant network and things in place that will automatically restore, services within reasonable time to allow, healthcare services and other delicate services to continue to take place. Okay, that's for the first person. The second questionnaire asks, okay, he was talking about the situation where patient-doctor contact is totally removed as a result of telemedicine and e-health, that where is the place of empathy, emotion, secrecy, and the rest of it. Now, I like to emphasize here that in a situation of delivering healthcare service using technology, it is not every case that might end up, being satisfactorily delivered using, a network or using technology. In rare cases, when there is a need for personal contact, then such kind of appointment will be established for the patient to meet physically with the doctor. However, I must say that a lot of things is happening today. In fact, in recent times, we have seen and heard and read in papers and on the internet that, certain kind of treatment are delivered from one country to the other. We have seen situation, of course, I talked about telesurgery. Telesurgery can take place where a patient don't necessarily have to travel to another country to meet with the experts. Experts in Nigeria can be interrogating the patient here, and then the experts are also talking with experts in another country. On the day of the surgery, the patient is in the theater. The doctors in Nigeria will be in touch. In fact, the doctors in the other country, through technology, cameras and all that, can also be seen and viewing the patient here in Nigeria on the table, in the theater table. And the doctor in Nigeria and the doctor over there will be communicating while the experts will be providing expert guidance, and the doctor here in Nigeria can be performing the operation. That's telesurgery. So the issue of empathy, emotion, I want to also add to that in recent research on robotics, we have been told that robots that have emotion are not being built. Yeah, because we have robots that perform surgery. But when somebody is in pain, a normal robot does not know that this person is in pain or this person is comfortable. So now a lot of research is being done on AI with emotion. So all your concerns, a lot of research is already on taking care of these concerns. Of course, we know that we have 5 generation of robots: first generation robots, second generation robots, third generation robot, fourth generation robots. Now we have 5th generation robots, which are biorobots. These are robots that have biological features and technological features. So robots in the nearest future, we have emotion, empathy, and so on and so forth. In the area of secrecy and all that, of course, somebody talked about data integrity, data protection, and of course, cybersecurity is beginning to be, in fact, cybersecurity is one of the areas of AI in health. Yeah, because health data are being hacked, are being stolen, are being, have been stolen and sold in the dark market, and people's health history are being used against them, particularly politicians. So cybersecurity is doing a lot to protect, health data. In fact, this is a very, very serious aspect of research in health. So the issue of security, secrecy, all these are also being taken care of. Okay, the next question is from Mr. Odile Peter. He talked about the issue of effect of drug, then nanoparticles, then talked about biochemists, animals, drug discovery, and all that. Now, let me also say to Mr. Peter that, you see, the biochemists, all the processes that are going on, testing of drugs with animals and all that, AI is not likely going to take it away from the biochemist. Yeah. Understand that technology do not altogether take away our responsibilities, but technology improve and help to, improve what we are doing and help us to do it better. So in the process of drug discovery and all the things that are being done by biochemists, most of this will continue to happen, but AI technology will help the biochemists. Of course, the process of drug discovery, it takes a long time. It takes a lot of process. Now, in the process of doing all this, you come across a lot of different chemical isomers. You can be talking of the isomer of a particular chemical, 100, 1,000 isomers. Now, these are things that are difficult for human to handle, within a space of time. But AI, with pattern recognition, with precision, can do all these things in just matter of minutes or hours. So AI will only improve and assist the activity of the biochemist and all the other activities they are doing. Of course, a lot is happening today in nanotechnology. Somebody once said, the next big thing is a small thing. And of course, when we are talking about nanotechnology, we are talking of small things in the nano level. Yeah, so the next big thing is a small thing. A lot is happening in nanotechnology. So AI will continue to help in nano research to deliver nanoparticles. And recently, I think there was one patient that was treated from the Europe. The patient was in Asia, and through connectivity and all that, a nanoparticle was delivered, for the treatment of that individual across 2 different continents. So AI will continue to help. So please understand that we will not become irrelevant. However, as technology improves, we need to improve ourselves. We need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So there are new things, for instance, that biochemists have to learn. There are new things that researchers in those areas, in drug discovery, in nanotechnology, there are new things that are coming up on a daily basis that researchers in those areas will continue to learn. It is only when we refuse to learn will then become irrelevant. I hope that will not become totally irrelevant. Okay, the next question is on, okay, somebody talked about gene-driven strategy to correct genetic. I hope I got that very well. I'm not too sure. Hello, can that person recast the question? Okay,
just a moment.
Okay, so what are the current AI-driven strategies for designing or optimizing gene editing approaches to correct gene mutations?
Okay, of course, AI is growing, parallelly in almost every area. As AI is growing in health, is growing in automation, is growing in the industry, is growing in engineering, is growing in aviation, is growing in every area. A lot of research activities continues to happen in every aspect of AI. So, for instance, in gene therapy, there are a lot of strategies and tools that AI is providing for these activities. For instance, we in gene therapy, we have gene editing. We have tools like CRISPR. We have things like Cas9 and so on and so forth. Gene addition. We have mutagenesis and so on and so forth. We have site-directed mutagenesis. We have random and extensive mutagenesis. There are a lot of solutions. These are things, some of these you will find on the internet, and some when you connect with research groups that are working in this area, they'll be able to expose you to some of the new things that are happening in all this area. If we talk further later, then I can link you up with some groups that can, assist you further in this. So other strategies include targeted inhibition of gene expression, targeted killing of specific cells, and then microhomological mediation and joining. There are quite a lot of strategies that are available out there. And like I said, some of the techniques that are available, we have prime editing, we have CRI, SPR, Cas9. These are some of the specific techniques and tools that are available out there. Okay, the next question, somebody talked about data compliance. Data and compliance. Then I think the next two questions look similar, has to do with law, something related to law, telemedicine, and licenses, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also establish at this point that at the moment in Nigeria, we have not yet started officially to, implement telemedicine and e-health as a way of delivering healthcare service. Even though many hospitals today have many digital devices they are using to diagnose and help in performing a lot of tests and all that. Of course, we will soon be there, because whether we like it or not, all medical equipment that are being produced today by medical manufacturers are all digital equipment. And in one way or the other, they connect to the computer and some software to work with. But before this will become official and legal practice in Nigeria, there must be a policy. There must be, there must be a law enacted by the government. And the Society for Telemedicine and E-Health and the Standard Organization of Nigeria and many other, sister organizations are working towards making, I think some documents have been submitted. I think it has passed a first reading or something like that. I can't remember exactly whether the first reading or second reading in the House. So eventually, if such policy documents are approved and put in place, then all hospitals in Nigeria will then be enforced. Of course, we are all witnesses in Nigeria how it happened in the banking sector. In those days, everything used to be manual in the banking sector. All transactions were manual until when the Central Bank of Nigeria, mandated all banks to go electronic. And we are seeing the benefits. It's quite enormous. Yeah, so many transactions and activities now that we can do at the comfort of our home, on the go, on the fly. We can do so many things. So the same thing is going to happen in the health sector when government gives approval for these policies. Now, when this policy comes, it's going to also come with laws that, allow how, the professionals will practice, within the framework of e-health and telemedicine within the state, across the state, and even across the nations and across the continent. Yeah, of course, we know that some of our patients from Nigeria travel out for healthcare services. You cannot go to any health facility without a referral from your doctor, your home doctor. And if you are going for a referral, at least some history about your health state must be forwarded to the person you are being referred to. He must know some history about the case. Yeah, and we are saying that if there is electronic health record, which is what we have been advocating for, and which is part of the e-health and telemedicine framework, now your electronic health record, we have all this information. Now, the issue of privacy, ownership of the data, these are also concerns. In fact, just last week, I submitted a paper, at some journal in the United States, where we are proposing, talking about the issue of ownership and privacy of patient data. Now, the hospitals think they have the total ownership of the medical data that the patient provide. But the patient is the one that provided the data. The patient also should have ownership of what belongs to him. So the issue of ownership, privacy, and so on and so forth is still there. So there will be laws, guiding how all these things will be practiced. Now, for instance, in the United States, in Europe, and some of the developed nations where these things are already happening, there are laws, and then there are acts that guide how all this is being practiced. The same thing will happen eventually in Africa and in Nigeria when this is totally taken up. I'm so happy that one of my colleagues from Abuja, Mr. Liu, spoke. Yeah, we are already working with Standard Organization in Nigeria in conjunction with
Thank you very much, Prof. It seems we lost you. Possibly there is a technical glitch from your end, but you have greatly done justice to the questions, and I know that you have so much in store. We will connect with you. I will connect with you. My name is Dr. Farumbi, the Director of Career Center for the university. We want to appreciate you for this. And in doing this, we want to also get remarks from our amiable Vice Chancellor, Professor Francisca Onolakpo Oladipo. Madam Vice Chancellor Ma, we know you have tight schedules. We don't know if you can appreciate our guest lecturer. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Farumbi, the Dean, Faculty of Computing and Applied Sciences, and all the other deans present, HODs, directors, HODs, and other members of the university community, and of course, our friends from other institutions who are online and those who are present here with us in Oko. And our most distinguished guest speaker, Professor Justice. On behalf of the entire university community, I really want to thank you for the excellent delivery of the 2025 edition of the Faculty of Computing and Applied Sciences research seminar. It's been an enriching time for me personally, and I know listening to all the interactions and the questions, everyone really had a good time. I listened all through. So I want to thank you, sir, for doing justice to this very important research area. Computing has practically taken over every aspect of humanity, of life, of living, and healthcare is really no exception. And from some of the discussion, one of the things we really need to take away from here is the need for multidisciplinary and cross-disciplinary research. The time has passed where you're in biochemistry and you're going to be working with biochemists alone, or as a computer scientist, it's just between you and other computer scientists. Everything now needs to work together. We consider the legal aspect of research. The law people are there. The life sciences, when we talk about molecular research, are there. The computer guys are there to do the design and implementation, engineering to build the hardware, and the general research communities to contribute their own quota. So this is one very important topic today that has brought practically all of us together. For us in Thomas Adewumi University, our focus is in science, technology, engineering, medicine and innovation. And then today's presentation kind of captured everything, went across the entire sphere of the essence of TAU, of the focus of TAU. It cuts across our entire wave of interest. And so we're really grateful to Professor Justice for doing justice to the topic. If you pardon my tautology, but it's unavoidable. And I want to congratulate the Dean and the members of the Faculty of Computing and Applied Science that today you found a common ground. You have been like strange bedfellows all this while, biochemistry, chemistry, physics, coexisting with computer science and mathematics and statistics and all of that. But today with the presentation by Professor Justice, you've been able to find a common ground. I hope you continue in this research trajectory. You don't go your separate ways again, but now you find something to bring you together to work together. So I should not be surprised if I see Mr. Omojarabi or Professor Dr. Latunji in biochemistry lab or the molecular biology lab or medical microbiology lab or something is not there to say hello to Professor Emenike or the Dean of Nursing is actually there now to do some cross-disciplinary research. And if I find them whispering to Barrister Oyaleke or Ms. Okedele, I know that they're actually probably looking at the legal aspects of the research they're about to conduct. And when it's time to talk about the economics of the whole thing, I saw that Ishola earlier from the Faculty of Management and Social Sciences, he actually also contributed to this research. So Professor Justice is back. I want to thank you, sir, for speaking on something that cuts across the wave of interest of Thomas Adewumi University, where for science, technology, engineering, medicine, and innovation. Thank you all so much for being such good listeners and participants. And then I look forward to welcoming you again, both in person and virtually, to another edition of our insightful and educative webinars. Thank you, Dr. Farumbi. I'll hand back to you now.
Thank you very much, our amiable Vice Chancellor, Stellar Vice Chancellor, Thomas Adewumi University, for that wonderful remarks. With this, we are gradually rounding off this event. Professor Justice, thank you so much. I have one more request. At Thomas Adewumi University, like the Vice Chancellor has rightly highlighted, we have a maiden project in digital health, and I'm requesting by this that you serve as a mentor to our team of innovators. We have actually built a med patch that helps to do early detection of diseases using 3D printed microneedle. And this is an amazing one. We are requesting, though this is informally, but I think I can do that openly since we are still in this area of discourse, that you serve as one of our mentors. And we would reach out to you in this. Do I have your response about this, sir? Professor Justice, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I got disconnected, so I had to resort to my phone. So I'm connecting via phone now. Well, that's fine. Research is collaboration. Yeah, we have to collaborate. Nobody does it alone. Nobody knows it all. Yeah, when we collaborate, we work together, then we achieve better results and get it done faster and better. So it will be my pleasure to work with Thomas Adewumi University.
Thank you so much for accepting this offer. We really appreciate it. I will now hand over to the Dean of the Faculty, who is the host of this event, for his closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Farumbi. While the lecture was ongoing, we would like to equally recognize our colleagues who joined us. Professor Emenike, you're welcome, sir. Please, a round of applause for Professor Emenike. Also, the Dean, Faculty of Engineering, Engineer Dr. Wasiu, you're welcome. The Dean, Faculty of Nursing, Dr. Modepe Aino, you're welcome, man. We have the Director of Academic Planning, Dr. Ajibola. He almost joined, but you're welcome, sir. Thank you so very much. Right about now, I can see the sub-dean. I think the corporate affairs, they want, Maogasa, you, Dr. Folaram, you are welcome, sir. So right about now, I would like to hand over the microphone to Dr. A.A. Owolabi to give the vote of thanks as we virtually approach the end of the seminar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. My job is very, very simple. Very, very well, very, very simple. For all of us present here, virtually or physically, I thank you all.
All right, thank you so very much. That is as brief as. Okay, all right, thank you. And that I think I want to believe we have all been refreshed. And for those who are here to be refreshed, please, you can signify wherever you're seated to be refreshed. So I'll now hand over the microphone to the Dean Faculty of Computing and Applied Science to declare the event closed. Thank you, sir.
Okay. I want to especially thank every one of us, both to those who are virtually present and those that are on site. We are sincerely grateful that you are able to make it. I'm sure you have been wonderfully blessed, and the take home, according to our Vice Chancellor, who will try to work on that, on collaborative research among all of us, especially those, even those of the West campus, the legal people, they will also join us in the collaboration. Thank you very much for coming. God bless us all.
Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of this event, and then by this, inviting you also to join our monthly Knowledge X. We hold that every month, the last Wednesday of every month. We would see you again when next we announce our meetings. Thank you so much. From every one of us at Thomas Adewumi University, we say see you again.
So please, deans here present would like to have a photo section, and our colleagues from Faculty of Nursing